In February 2023, devastating earthquakes in southern and central Turkey and northern and western Syria left both physical and emotional scars on the region. Although 2 years have passed, the pain still lingers for those who lost their families and homes, and reconstruction efforts continue until this day. Today, we bring you the story of the Türkiye-Korea Friendship Village, which is hoping to help residents overcome the hardship of the disaster's aftermath and begin new hopeful lives. We are now connected to Park Jaeseok, regional representative of the Türkiye and Syria Earthquake Operations of the Korean Red Cross. Hello, Jaeseok.
Hello, Jaeseok.
Hello.
Thank you for joining us on The Culture Wave. So why don't we start with an introduction of yourself and what you have been doing since the 2023 earthquake struck in Turkey and Syria.
Okay. Hello, good morning from Turkey. It's very nice to meet you. And thank you so much for having me today. My name is Park Jaeseok, and I'm the regional representative of the Türkiye Syria Earthquake Operations at the Korean National Red Cross. I'm working on the ground. My role is to make sure that the generosity of our donors is used with transparency and accountability. Most importantly, I really want this support to truly reach the people in need and make a real difference in their lives.
Okay, so let's talk now about the Türkiye-Korea Friendship Village in detail. So what were the most urgent needs for the residents when the village was first established, and what did you prioritize above all else?
Right after the earthquake, the most urgent need for people was survival and safety. So the Korean Red Cross, together with the Turkey Red Crescent, provided hot meals, tents, clothing, hygiene kits, and medical supplies at the very first priorities, ensuring relevance and effectiveness. Housing was especially critical because it is directly connected to sustainable recovery. That is why we prioritized providing temporary shelter in the form of a container city. In the next days, we constructed the community service centers, offering livelihood assistance, winterization items, and mental health and psychosocial support for project efficiency and coverage to reach as many people as possible. Now we are working on the reconstruction of a blood center and permanent branch office, not only inside the container city, but also in other areas to secure our project long-term impact. We set our priorities in 3 ways. First, by listening to the needs of earthquake-affected people. Second, by following the policies of the government and the Red Cross movement. And third, by respecting humanitarian principles of international organizations which represent global standards. So step by step, we are delivering what is the most needed, from survival to shelter to recovery, always aligned with the people's needs.
Yes, a beautiful and very meaningful project indeed. Now, Jaeseok, various entities participated in this project. How were the roles divided up and how was the communication managed?
I think the success was only possible thanks to the voluntary support from many organizations. This time, we were able to cooperate with the Korean Embassy, the Korean Cultural Center, and the Korean communities in Turkey, as well as Turkey Red Crescent. The Embassy of Korea has always supported. They even sent their chef to the Türkiye-Korea Friendship Kitchen event, providing traditional Korean summer meals, such as 떡갈비, pachae for earthquake survivors. The Korean Cultural Center introduced a taekwondo class to us, which helped the children regain their confidence in life. Professor Yumi and her students from Ankara University joined us as volunteers. They brought K-pop, K-food, and Korean traditional games like 제기차기 and 공기놀이. They also adopted Korean folk tales such as the 당근신화 and integrate them into disaster safety training. All of this was done voluntarily. I believe behind this spirit is a shared desire to support earthquake survivors and the conviction that the 2 countries are brother nations. With this common spirit, we could share culture, communicate naturally, and build true friendship together.
It's great to hear from these cultural programs as well, because especially for children, I can imagine that once they are involved in those activities like taekwondo and also other cultural activities, they kind of get distracted from what happened before. And speaking of which, it sometimes takes even longer to heal the psychological pain than to heal injuries, physical injuries. So let's talk about some of the programs that also focused on children who suffered trauma from the earthquake. So could you also elaborate on that program, please?
Okay. Please imagine the emotion of the children who lost their families, friends, and homes. I think feelings of sadness, isolation, even aggression, and a loss of motivation to learn must be inevitable. These emotional scars run very deep. So in order to support their mental health and emotional well-being, we implemented the culture-based program. This approach gave us an easy way to engage the children without resistance in activities. Also, K-culture is so popular worldwide today. It was a huge benefit for us because it captured the children's interest and they were willing to join the activities spontaneously and consistently. For example, children joined the class enthusiastically where they painted traditional Korean patterns on fan. For them, it was just fun activity. But for us, it was also kind of art therapy. By this, we were able to identify the children who need additional psychiatric support and we connect them to hospital. They also played traditional Korean games frequently, which deepened their connections with their friends and foster a sense of community without bullying or discrimination. As a result, children slowly came out from sadness, began to smile again, and started to find a new motivation for their future. So I believe utilizing Korean culture in psychosocial support was not only effective, but also a new approach and a paradigm shift in disaster response.
Yes, Korean culture aside, it is a beautiful thing that you're doing to make these children smile and laugh again and, you know, see through the trauma that they have gone through, because obviously children don't deserve this sort of pain and traumatic experience. So I thank you for doing that. It's such a touching thing that you have done. Now, around 2.5 years ago, or 2.5 years have now passed since the disaster. What are the biggest changes you are seeing among the residents that moved into this Türkiye-Korean Friendship Village?
Okay, there were so many challenges at the beginning, but I'm sure there were so many positive changes in people's lives as well. Before moving into container city, people had to live in tents outside. There was almost no access to water and electricity. The living conditions were extremely difficult. After moving in, about 5,000 people received the container houses equipped with air conditioning, refrigerator, TV, laundry machine, and heating system. And one beneficiary we met in the container city told us, "Now I feel like a human being. The house is so safe and comfortable. Being able to take a shower after work is like a dream for me." Furthermore, in order to restore community networks, we also provide social facilities in the container city, such as a library, kindergarten, playground, community service center, and a school. These places help the people come together, rebuild their social bonds, strengthening the community disaster resilience, and also experience the cultural event. Individually, each resident was able to return to their normal life, and they could have their confidence as well, just like before the earthquake.
And Jaeseok, do you have any memorable moments that you want to share that you heard from the residents? Any stories maybe?
Yes, right. There are so many touching stories. We met one grandmother who felt guilty because she survived alone after losing her entire family. We also met Korean War veteran and one student who had studied in South Korea. But the story I remember most is about one boy in a taekwondo class. At first, he was always alone and very quiet, but after joining the taekwondo class, he became more active and started to open up. One day, he came to us and clenched his fist and said, "I want to keep learning taekwondo and I will become an Olympic medalist. I truly want to support this boy to make his dream come true." But For that to happen, I think we need to pay our attention to the earthquake areas. Many people are already beginning to forget this disaster. The Korean Red Cross will do our best to make sure this does not become a forgotten disaster. So I sincerely ask for your continued interest and support for the children and for that boy's dream.
Jaeseok, that was a very beautiful and touching story. Thank you for sharing that with us. And finally, what are your plans in terms of ensuring the village's continued operation?
The container city is now getting smaller because people are moving into their permanent houses. But we will continue till the last resident moves into their permanent house and make sure no one is left behind during this next phase. Beyond the housing, many earthquake-affected people still need humanitarian services, so we will continue our support together with the Turkey Red Crescent. We are also encouraging local people to be a part of the community activities so that they can manage and sustain the village themselves. And to make this sustainable, the two national societies signed an MOU in August to strengthen disaster cooperation and future exchanges. As I mentioned earlier, we are also going to construct a blood center in Iskenderun, Hatay province, Turkey, which is historically meaningful as the departure point of Turkey troops during the Korean War. And also, we will continue to maintain strong ties with the Korean communities in Turkey. In 2025, the Korean Red Cross will commemorate its 120th anniversary. This long history proves our commitment to humanitarian work, and thus we will continue our efforts sustainably in the future. However, none of this would have been possible without the generous support of donors and the dedication of our volunteers. So I sincerely wish to express my gratitude to all of them, and I will do my best to contribute to a more successful disaster recovery. And lastly, please remember that Red Cross is always with you to save lives and to alleviate human suffering.
Jaeseok, thank you very much. I just want to ask you a quick question. How can ordinary citizens like us also continue to help?
Disaster can happen to anyone, regardless of nationality, race, religion, or economic situation. That is why Red Cross movement is working in natural disaster areas and conflict zones to show our solidarity with the human suffering and to help the people live with a minimum sense of dignity. So as I mentioned earlier, all of this begins with our voluntary donation and service. But the most important thing is to keep paying attention and never forget what happened to us.
All right, on that note, we want to thank you again very much for connecting with us today from Turkey, Jaeseok, and thank you for your hard work in helping the residents in the village and beyond to recover.
Thank you so much, Jaeseok.
Thank you.
And thank you, Walter. As always, we're going to see you back here tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.